Hi, I'm Beatrize. I'm a fifth-year senior, double majoring in economics and criminal justice at Oklahoma City University. I got here basically through a sequence of very fortunate events. Sometimes I like to think of it that way. Basically, the lifestyle of my family environment was pretty violent at times, and it was a weird situation growing up because there was always that awkward position for the police to be in. Whenever we made phone calls to them, they're like, well, this is a domestic issue, we shouldn't really be handling that, it's a family issue. So we kind of lost hope in that system in terms of the police protecting us from our abusive parents. I remember thinking that day that my life was going to be very different in terms of, I knew that this kind of time the beating would be a little different because of how things have escalated. It got pretty intense, and he kept saying he was going to kill me, and then I kind of figured, well, he's never said this before, this is scary. So at that point I began pleading for my life, and he said he wasn't going to stop because I was basically a very bad kid, and I stayed there, I kept begging. Eventually he stopped, and when I turned to look out of the situation, I saw my mom in the doorway because my dad told me, go clean up your face because there was blood everywhere. And he was going to come back and finish me off later, and my mom said basically that very mean, was just, that's what you get. After, as soon as that had happened, I kind of realized, well, I can't be in this situation, I need to leave. So I knew my brother was also going to be in trouble that weekend. My older brother, he's about 2 years older, and so he was outside, and I heard my dad yelling at him, so I went into our closet, grabbed my book bag because I knew I had to go back to class on Monday, and got our school shoes and his book bag, and jumped out of our window and basically took off and sheltered my brother because he was kind of afraid. And yeah, that's kind of how I first got into foster care. I think my drive is always fueled by the people who are willing to help me. I had a teacher in high school who gave me a $250 check to go towards college, and I was going to a university that's costing $42,000 a year. But just that small gesture of the fact that she had hope in me. I had small little scholarships and people willing to help me out along the way that kind of give me enough hope to realize, okay, there's good people out here. There's people who want me to succeed. I'm not in here alone. I kind of just viewed that as just the escape. If this is my way out, I needed to, figure out how to survive. I was very humbled by coming from the high school where I was at. Kind of had already a level of respect from people, and they already kind of knew me. But then when I got to college, it was starting back from square one. Nobody knew me. Nobody cared about me. No. And so that was definitely probably the hardest thing. Making friends was hard, branching out, but I think being on the wrestling team is what helped the most because it was people I knew that had to live with me. That was kind of the more comforting thing because back in high school, that was my family. And so I knew that wrestling would give me a family, whether they wanted to be part of it or not. So that was also kind of difficult because an incoming freshman, I wasn't as good as I needed to be. So there was a little bit of a resentment for me not being up to the level or the standards of Oklahoma City University wrestling. I also didn't feel like I could ever go back. And that's what made me cry because I was like, well, I don't really have much to go back to. It's either make it here or live in a cycle of poverty with a broken family. And I just kind of didn't really know that I had any other options but to succeed. So that was definitely hard. I don't know if it doesn't necessarily come from being, I think, in foster care. It just comes from being far away from home and being far away from people who care about you. And I know at least when I was home and all that, people would notice if I didn't show up, or I had a structure. And so being out here, I knew that there wasn't enough people who would actually care enough to know what I was doing with my life. So I made myself to be known in every branch of our school, and I joined the honors program again to help my GPA because I knew that's going to be important in applying for law school and scholarships. So I've been in student government since sophomore year, and I've been recently reelected as student government president, and that's been an awesome opportunity. And I think that because of foster care and because of all the obstacles and dealing with people and having people know everything about your life and not having any control of it has helped me kind of understand and give a different kind of perspective to it. It's also given me opportunities to kind of reach out to people and kind of telling them how to not be a victim of their circumstance. Carrie Kearney from the R's for Thursday has been very helpful in that she kind of took me under her wing and was like, hey, what do you need? Let me help you figure out what you need to do. And it's stuff like that that you don't really get when you are kind of on your own in college. You don't get to have someone to kind of tell you, hey, this is what you should be doing, and looking out for you, looking out for your future, because you're so stuck to trying to figure out for yourself. So she also helped me learn how to drive, and we learned out on a ranch in Stillwater, which was something like you don't think about when you're going off to college. Most people already have that, so and they take it for granted how hard it is when you don't have family here, when you don't know the slightest thing about driving, and when you're afraid of it. So the fact that she was able to help me gain that much independence because she cared enough was definitely probably one of the better things about the whole situation, because I'm pretty sure I would have just been lost trying to navigate that through myself. I think one of the things that affects us when we're victims is that we get stuck in that victim mindset, and the advice I would give is to not let yourself stay a victim. Definitely also realize that you have to want your success to be successful. So those are the two things I would say is one, want your success for yourself, and two, don't be afraid to ask for help, because once I started asking for help, it kind of just made everything a lot easier, and it's kind of hard when you're so self-reliant to make that step. But having people like R's for Thursday and Carrie Kearney available made that whole transition a lot easier.